Okay, thanks. So this is part 2. For some reason it froze. There was a lot of flashing with the camera going on. And yeah, interference happens. God knows. I've had a lot of that. But I really feel like with the perseverance and the strength that we're gaining right now is, you know, that the support is there very strongly. And no fear, no fear. So I wanted to continue because I picked these beautiful cards. I love so when Quirky Cosmo was speaking, I decided I was going to pull a few cards with the energy and read them after. Now I just pulled them and I tagged them, but they just see it as a continuation of the energies for the transmission that you're receiving in this moment. This moment could be today, next week, or in a year. It doesn't really matter because we are timeless, and this is what we're beginning as soul embodiments to experience, is that time is not what the linear, again, the Gregorian calendar that we're functioning under, which is also an aspect of greed. And the word calendar means debt registry, and it was put in place by the Vatican in the 16th century. So as we can see, we've been, just following a system in every incarnation, and, so for us to understand the bigger cosmic events that are happening and how we're relating to the star systems and the spheres, the music of the spheres, which is the resonance of how the planets, interact with each other and how those planets interact with our sun and our planet. And all of that is within us as well, because we're the micro of the macro. That's why, when you look at nature and us, and the temple is within, the temple of God is within, the structure of how universes are created is created within us. So it's absolutely mind-blowing stuff when you're connecting with that and knowing yourself as that. It's incredible. It's experiencing. So here's the Osho Zen card, and this one is experiencing. Okay, so I'm going to read, because these are beautiful transmissions in themselves, the art and what comes through. To me, Source is speaking. The synchronicities are so powerful, and I'm actually looking forward to reading them because I was excited about, like I said, this transmission. And I know that when I've looked back at some of my videos as well, I'm like, wow, that was so appropriate for that transmission. And I know more and more people are going to be awakening and connecting as starseeds. And so I'm leaving a breadcrumb, it's like that path for others to find the information, get that, and, see that in this this reality, there are people that are seeding the consciousness in another way that is not necessarily the mainstream. And I know, having gone to Sedona a couple of years ago, I realized that there was a whole community of, especially young people, I would say a lot of people in their 20s and early 30s, that were hyper aware of themselves and just emanating such a beautiful energy. And they recognized me, and they saw me, and they heard me, and I could have beautiful conversations with them. And I was very grateful for that, because that hasn't been my reality for most of my life, And it's not, I wasn't even aware. That's why I was in shadow aspects so much. I just wasn't aware. And as I woke up through Kundalini and through my own journey, my mother's passing, and all these things, that I needed to go within more and more to find those answers and understand more about why I'm here and what my purpose is. And the more you ask, what you seek is seeking you. So when you put it out there, you meditate to be able to download the information that you're asking to download. Like, why do we meditate? To be calm and zen, yes, and to empty our minds, that's beautiful. But what about, getting the information, asking and receiving? That's what this reality is structured by. So your waves send out a thought. You would like the information. You have to be able to sit and listen to that information. And it might come through it, not just sitting on the cushion, doing your dishes, making a painting. You're going to receive if you're asking, if you're able to truly connect with that self, that higher self information, which is always accessible to all of us. And it's from within through breath and through silence. But yeah, so yeah, I'm just going to read this. The predominance of red in this card indicates that its subject is energy, power, and strength. The brilliant glow emanates from the solar plexus. Oh, I'm sorry, this is actually the second one. This is breakthrough. I had two different cards come through. They have a lot of red and light. This one has more of a nature glow around, and this one's more like busting through. See the light coming from the inside. So those are beautiful illustrations. And but experiencing, so I put little post-its because I didn't want to look for the pages and stuff. So yeah, so experiencing, okay. An experience is something that can be filed away in a notebook or captured on film and pasted into an album. Experiencing is the feeling of wonder itself and the thrill of communion, the gentle touch of our connectedness with all that surround us. This woman in the card is not just touching this tree, she is in communion with it. She has almost become one with it. It's funny, I was having this conversation with Daniel this morning about that's what's happening very often, is this deep communion with nature out here that I'm feeling and I've always had, but it's really becoming evident. It's beautiful, and some of you might know the books Anastasia, the cedar. There's tons of cedars around here, and such a powerful, beautiful tree to connect with. Anyways, it's just, again, beautiful synchronicity in my own life that's reflecting. So if you have your own cards, to ask for that just confirmation or communion with source speaking to you, and that can be through anything. I love the cards because, again, I love the colors, the illustrations, the creativity. I'm also a painter and illustrator myself, and a lot gets transmitted through color for me. So I don't know what that's called, I forget. But anyways, these senses are kicking in for a lot of us, and it's a beautiful thing, and we're going into some, I think, beautiful earth reality. And which timeline? I don't know. But for me, it's right now. It's happening right now. So, yeah. So, yeah, it is an old tree and has seen many hard times. Her touch is gentle, reverent, and the white on the inside of her cape reflects the purity of her heart. She is humble, simple, and that is the right way to approach nature. Nature doesn't bang drums when it bursts forth into flower, nor play any dirges when the trees let go of their leaves in the fall. But when we approach her in the right spirit, she has many secrets to share. If you haven't heard nature whispering to you lately, it is a good time to give her the opportunity. So yeah, nature, thank God. I'm so grateful to be surrounded here. It's absolutely beautiful. Maybe I can just give you a quick glance, actually. The snow right now, we've had this massive snowstorm. And I don't know if you can see, but there's my peace flags over here. And there are the trees. I'm surrounded by these gorgeous white pines and cedars and birches and maples and spruce and so many varieties of trees. So I'm very blessed. And again, on some level, I coordinated all this even though I wasn't aware of it. Because when we follow our guidance, sometimes it doesn't always make sense right away. But eventually we start to look and say, oh yeah, that's why I did that. That's why I chose that. That's why I met this person. That's why everything, is all beautifully unfolding when we're in a flow and in our own consciousness. So the other one is breakthrough. So that's really cool too. See? Letting that light really shine and explode. And it says a brilliant glow emanates from the solar plexus. And that's interesting because then I got this card right after. It's like the story is playing itself out. And that's what divine synchronicities do. Many of you are experiencing that right now because you wouldn't be listening to me. But, if you're still listening, then you know what I'm talking about. Or you're discovering that for yourself through numbers, through license plates, or messages that are speaking to you. I call them universal winks. They're like, boop, did you get that? And if not, it's just, synchro destiny is also what Deepak Chopra calls it. So you're in alignment with your dharma, your dharma, your service, and you're just in alignment with that. And so it says here, at such times, all of us occasionally reach points when enough is enough. Yeah. Many of you know that and have experienced times when we feel we must do something, anything, even if it later turns out to be a mistake or to throw off the burdens and restrictions that are limiting us. If we don't, they threaten to suffocate and cripple our very life energy. If you are now feeling that enough is enough, allow yourself to take the risk of shattering the old patterns and limitations that have kept your energy from flowing. In doing so, you will be amazed at the vitality and empowerment this breakthrough can bring to your life. I cannot emphasize that enough when stagnation is happening, that sometimes you just got to do something, it's like and again, it says mistakes. I'm not sure if they're mistakes. I would consider more like Abraham says, that everything is contrast and you're experiencing something that you don't want to experience anymore. And so you're saying, okay, I got that. I'm going to move on to this now. Thank you for the lesson. I'm done. I'm going on to something else. Better, bigger, and more vibrant with life force, because ultimately we're here to experience ourselves with that full vitality. That's why the immune system is has to be built and all that when we're talking about viruses or bacteria or any of that, Again, I would recommend Kelly Brogan and Greed Med Info, Dr. Mercola, and maybe I'll list that down below. But naturopath and all of that, we know that, anyways, there's a whole thing. And I'm not going against I'm grateful for doctors and all that. They've fixed my parts. I've had broken bones and all kinds of things that this body's been through. Hell. But I'm still here, still alive, kicking, and not only surviving, but thriving now. Because now I've been figuring out more of how this reality works. And it has nothing to do with watching TV or getting information from the outside that, the father knows best, like the old patriarchy. Sorry, you don't know best. You don't know what's good for me or for my body, and I'm a sovereign being, and you have no right to impose that on me. Thank you very much. Thanks for the photo, Google. So yeah, solar plexus, boop. I also want to thank Kaya Ra from the Sophia Code, because she's really helped me also step into this, divine feminine empowerment that has been so repressed for such a long time. And, not this time, not this lifetime, that's for sure. This is the one where we rise up together and wings out. We are in this together. And yeah, I found this beautiful secondhand dress that has birds. And it was interesting that something about the bird tribe was mentioned this morning by Carrie Ann. Amazing. The information that's flowing towards us, through us, amongst us is just like, wow, it's magical. It's beautiful. And I'm just going to do these last two. I know this is a longer video, but I had a lot to say. Sometimes I go silent for a while and regenerate and restructure myself into that spiraling aspect of my Christed self, my light being that is wanting to take its rightful place in this whole experience here, in this realm, or this holographic, hologenetic reality as the human avatar that we are. So yeah, so it's getting really interesting, isn't it, for a lot of us, and having compassion for where people are and what they're experiencing is very important. But it's very important not to get pulled into those realities either. So to be have healthy boundaries and to connect. There's a reason why the yogis and sages have left such a beautiful legacy of wisdom that we can tap into. And I would recommend doing that on a daily basis and many times a day, even, connecting and breathing and whatever it is that you need to do to connect. So again, I'm intrigued by this flashing, these, I wonder what that's about, but I guess just let that go. So the solar plexus, number 3, the frequency of the solar plexus chakra supports our sense of self, our personal power, and our willpower, as well as our knowing of who we are and what our contribution is to the whole. The flower of life is a geometric shape recognized by many cultures all over the planet. It contains 13 equal petals, which again, the 13 is the divine feminine energy, and the 13 moon calendar or almanac, the 13 moons, 28 days, all of that, the cycle that also the ancient Hebrew calendar is based on, and all that. So super interesting. As a symbol, the flower of life represents the universe as a whole, as well as a harmony in which all the separate components of the universe work together. This beautiful pattern is often used to indicate our understanding of our connection as humans and as spiritual beings to the whole. The color yellow is associated with the 3rd or solar plexus chakra. It is located in the area of the diaphragm below the breastbone and links to our sense of self, our authority, and our personal power. It is the area of our personality and our ego. Yellow helps us to think clearly, increase our awareness, and stimulate our curiosity. It strengthens our vitality, our life force, and our energy. Its sense is sight. Okay, so I'm just gonna transmit that frequency, that mandala, that color, the flower of life, which we know is in ancient temples all over the world. I've seen them myself at Masada in Israel. I've traveled there, Sri Lanka. I've also seen them in Greece, I believe, I mean, I've traveled a lot to a lot of sacred sites. I'm very grateful that I was able to do that. Yeah, so that's the solar plexus. And this last one that came through is peace. Peace. So with all this information, my intention is to bring that peace into myself and out, because I can only give what I have within myself, right? So that's why self-love is so important. If you don't love yourself, how are you going to love others if your cup isn't full? We hear this all the time, but what does that mean, to love yourself? It's to know yourself. It's to know the essence of how beautiful a being you are and how unique, your perception is and your gifts are and all of that. So it's not about competing anymore. It's not about, that's an old reality. That's an old paradigm. That was the Piscean age. That was the competitive, the Tower of Babylon is falling right now. That's an old frequency that is no longer where we're heading. So in the heart, to have that peace within will allow us to have the peace without. And I know we hear this a lot through different teachers. There's a reason they repeat the same thing over and over again. It's because there's an ultimate truth in all of that. So I'm going to read this, and that's it. And thank you for watching and listening. I appreciate you. I'm grateful to be able to transmit this information and to really feel good about it, to feel vibrant right now, to transmit this, this energy, and to assist in these times, and we came here for this, and now it's not waiting for aliens or other people to inform us, because we can see how chaotic it can be to try to get information outside of ourselves. It just doesn't make a lot of sense anymore. So that's why we need to go within and experience this. The one whose consciousness and sensibility are not open towards the superior and divine worlds will never be able to know peace. In the external world, peace is impossible. It is through opening one's inner being to the living reality of the divine world that man can find the force of peace. Peace comes from heaven. Endowed with this peace, man can accept the inferior world and understand it. To accept does not mean that he can be at peace with it. Peace is a state of communion, of fusion, of unity with what is perfect. That is why it is impossible to know peace with the dark world. The essence of this world is war, and one must just accept it and not oppose it. Man can know peace and taste it only by uniting with the superior worlds. He can then find the strength to impose this peace upon the inferior world through his intelligence, his inner experience, and his alliance with the higher consciousness. It is obvious that no peace is possible if the energy of war imposes its law. War is a spirit which comes from the world of decomposition. If man cultivates decomposition within himself, he will attract this spirit into his life and into his environment. The artisan of peace must be conscious and strong, must be united with the higher consciousness and maintain his own inferior nature under control. Thus, to be at peace does not absolutely mean doing nothing or letting oneself go. On the contrary, it means to be active in the light and to be awakened and vigilant in order to manifest the kingdom of God in the reality of this earth. It is a very high ideal. So yeah, not, the straight and narrow path, or many are called but few are chosen. This is These are all written in the Bible. It's almost like again, a coded transmission for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. The truth is being revealed. And yeah, speak your truth even if your voice shakes. I always get a fluttering, and it's getting better because I've been practicing and I've been doing these videos for a couple of years, but I've been going through some huge releases of, limitation and past relationships and heartbreak and all this stuff that I just couldn't seem to get myself out of for a very long time. I was like emerging out of the depths and then poof, being pulled back down and emerging out. And, and thankfully that quickens where you go quicker and quicker. You don't have to stay there for as long anymore. And you're just like witnessing. And then something starts to happen where, yes, your higher self is taking more and more space so that the little human is being observed, but you're not associating with that story anymore. And so that's a very empowering place to be. And it continues daily to expand. So that's what's happening in my own ascension journey. I want to thank you for listening, for being here, for being incarnated at this very critical time where we need to expand into the light and into our higher soul essence. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for being more of who you are, which is a beautiful divine being of love light. Blessings and empowerment. Thank you.